Repente Reed, who is great attack crew for your ships for arena and skirmishes. Incognito Kirk, of course, you're going to be unfreezing your Kirks from time to time. He also has a collection spot, even if your account's far enough along to not need his bases and voyage. And then Trip, I guess, is last one, and he's a jury rigger, as well as, I think, still a top 5 Eng command gauntlet pair. So you really have, like you said, that the 5-star crew thus far have been more miss than hit. The existing crew have actually been pretty good quality, and then sort of a mixed bag with the new purple crew as well.
Definitely. And I mean, this week we have, we've got Shran, Hernandez, and then that kind of only leaves, because next week will be the gold crew that leads into the flashback. So next week will be Arissa, being the odd one out there. And then whatever gold crew we'll get, that will lead into the flashback of the week after. Stars and Garters and Jet says Astrophysicist Mega was pretty meh, but this is still a bit of low ebb, and I am, fitting for an Enterprise themed Mega. Ooh, that's a low blow to Enterprise fans out there. I think we were maybe possibly unduly harsh on the Caregiver Mega, because although it started off looking at Suspiria and kind of going...
You thought it couldn't get worse, and they're showing us, it can get worse.
But there were some pretty strong cards. I'm going to have to look up, because there were some actually pretty strong cards that came up out of
Activated Dodge,
yes.
Great Sexi Voyager, Dr. Van Gogh, good skill set, double collections, obviously variant events. Krem Guest Chakotay has a nice, strong Voyage score, and is, I think, the only semblance of science among Chakotay. So yeah, we did have a lot of good
but none
week old crew.
But none of these. I mean, EVC Topol was fine for what she is, but who was the one? Travers. Aside from being nothing for events, she had a decent skill combination, but nothing much to add to what is already out there, especially with something like the Medic Reno giveaway.
So, because I've been hearing this for the last couple of weeks, if I could pull Twitch chat and let me know, is it Alicia Travers or Alicia Travers?
Travers. I haven't watched the episode in time, so
that's okay. Neither have I. But... Actually, yeah, I wanted to watch the Shran episode, which I found out was the last episode, the infamous last episode of Enterprise. So I did better things with my time, but we might be a little light on exposition this week.
You missed out on Chef Riker. You missed out on Mako Riker, on NX-01 Riker. Some of my most favourite cards. Well, want cards. Definitely want Mako Riker. But yeah, you're right. The episode is a bit rough. Let's go on. Let me work out how I'm going to turn that off. And let's talk about the feature star this week, Captain Erika Hernandez. Legendary crew, Command Eng 2 Skiller. She is, like we said, she's a 2 Skiller. She's nothing entirely special for 2 Skillers. I think her high point is a Voyage pair for Command Eng at 6, but she's a 2 Skiller. You're not going to take her on that. And even as on shuttles, if she counts for an event and you do have her at 5 of 5, what are you going to do with her? And BT McCoy in chat says, I'm sad. And Hernandez is a 2 Skiller. I liked her character. I loved her character. I was quite hyped that she was coming to the game, and it's a real shame that she doesn't have something like diplomacy in there, or something just to give her a little bit of extra sort of sweetness to her abilities. But it's another 2 Skiller, which kind of confuses me a little bit.
Well, I know there's the snap judgment that 2 Skiller equals bad, and that's not necessarily true. We had, I think it was the Augment Mega in 2018, where we actually had back-to-back 2 Skiller crew, and they were Species 8472, who I think for quite a while was the number 1 Sexi Gauntlet pair. And then the following week, I think we had Augment Commander O'Brien, who is still a very good Eng Gauntlet crew. He's beaten up on the Caretaker quite a lot over the last couple of years. He's got good traits, collection, etc., and events. So you can make 2 Skillers good. You can give them events, you can give them intriguing traits, and you can give them good gauntlet pairs to snipe certain very ubiquitous crews. So I understand the snap decision. If they don't make voyages, they're trash for a lot of people. I get that. But so there's little wiggle room. But Captain Erika Hernandez is trash. She just is. As soon as the stats come out every week, we look at the top to bottom for our advice column, and I think this was the fastest from stats release to tier decision that we've ever had. Tier 10, yeah. There's nothing there. There's not voyage, there's not gauntlet, there's not arena, there's not events, there's not collections, there's not trades. The only thing really,
she's an athlete.
Yes, athlete. That's all she's got going for. It's had event bonus before. The pool is not huge. Maybe we get it again. Beyond that, I'm not seeing anything whatsoever.
And top that off with a galaxy, which is notoriously, since Skirmish has gone into auto mode, I think Galaxy is possibly one of the more harder ones to kind of, not hard as in skillfully difficult, but more time invested to try and get to the 1/500, and because you require a few more resources, and there's a lot more actual tapping involved to get there. So I know a lot of people, I talk to, a lot of people tend to turn off from Galaxies because often enough the reward is just not worth the amount of effort putting in, because you're expending amount of items that you could be equipping crew with to get a 1/5 you might not ever use. I know some people rank 1/500 just for the sake of it, and will probably airlock the crew, but fair play to them. But yeah, no.
It's sort of a rough back-to-back week, because next week we have another Galaxy / Skirmish. So presumably next week's crew would be more worth it if you like grinding Galaxy, if you are one of those brave souls. And then, of course, Skirmish is essentially their most rewarding event type for players for grinding, for ranking, etc. So this is sort of the lost week.
Definitely. I noticed a few people talking in chat about the now completely non-canon, well, not that it was canon in the first place, but the Destiny trilogy of books, which kind of is very post-TNG, post-DS9, sort of goes into... Hernandez is a major figure in that, and even though it's not canon and it's completely been wiped out for the events of Picard, it's still worth a read. It's quite a good sort of trilogy book, so I'd recommend. But yeah, no, next week we're going to have the Flashback Gold, and I can imagine a lot of people are going to be saving from this week to go to next week, because chances are it'll be someone you need to add a star to. Unless you're like me, as someone I've already got fully fused, or someone I don't have, which always happens. Like campaigns.
Okay, let's. I'm sure there's a more interesting card to talk about.
There is a slightly more interesting card. Let's move on to Ransom Shran.
Monkey paw curls.
Yes, another Jeffrey Combs appearance. Combs?
I think it's Combs.
It's
but
Combs, yeah, Jeffrey Combs.
I'm sure someone else will
Sounds
know.
weird. Super rare crew for this week. And in Galaxy, so you're going to get 4 of him if you decide to go up to 130 or 150 for the uniform. I can never remember.
I think 130 and then 160 is 1,000 merits.
That's right, yeah.
In a pure Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah, so Dip Command Sec, which... nothing inspiring. And like you said also, why have they done our man dirty?
In the show notes, in red font, I put stop doing Shran dirty. He's got a surprising number of variants. Let me check that while I ramble, and they're all kind of terrible. I guess he only has 4. The purple Commando Shran, who you kind of just use for the collection. Ushan Shran, who he hits +10 on ships pretty quickly, +10 attack, but everything else about him is awful. And Expedition Shran, who has got a big dip base. You know about this, working on cadets for so long, and I think he has a pretty good voyage score.
He's good for cadets, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
But not really a long-term investment. He doesn't get a lot of events, no collections, etc. So this one kind of goes on the bottom of the heap, I think. I could look up his traits, but a 900 base you're going to use for events. I mean, that's fine if you want, especially being a Galaxy, to get those 4 free copies. You can freeze them out later. Beyond that, traits are not good. Desperate Caregiver, Tactician.
How many caregivers have we had since the Caregiver Mega?
He got stuck in the bottom of the ketchup bottle, and Wicked Realm had to knock the bottle, and he fell out a little late. But I think he's like number 52 Voyage or something. I should probably look at the stream. What is this? Yeah, number 52. But with
yes.
command dip sec, dip primary, that it doesn't get
Yeah.
much worse. So
You get 2 golds and that skill set easily just by sort of.
we're looking for positives because who doesn't love Jeffrey
yeah.
Combs?
It's definitely someone I'm going to get and immortalise because I want him because it's Jeffrey Combs. You know, who wouldn't? He won't be any use to me in the future unless his card is called. And I'm hoping there will be some more Shran variants that will get their own events somewhere down the line, somewhere out of a mega, maybe a faction event, because you know that's what's going to be picked for a rerun of Flashback or potentially a 490 down the road. Anything more to say about Shran? I don't think so.
He had we had a Jeffrey Combs event, and I'm looking it up now because I want to say it was Alidar Jarok, but maybe it's a different one. Where he had and that was it. He had the featured crew were Wayun Clone 5, Pank from the Tsunkatse Voyager episode, and Commando Shran. So it was. I mean, we did get that. When was it? November 2018. So it's been 2 years. I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was great to have all his characters.
Quite like theme pack like that if they're, like the birthday holds, they're quite cool. More of that. More Jeffrey Combs love in the in timelines, please. That's our question for next week. Okay, very briefly, recurring character for this week, Alidar Jarok, and I think you have the line there, Auto.
Well, your show notes said no need to talk about him for Galaxy, and I wrote wrong because James Sloyan, the actor, is fantastic. In fact, my overheating laptop has saved one tab open for James Sloyan's memory album page, which has him as Alidar Jarok, of course, in Next Generation. He was Odo's mentor / tormentor, Morapol, who we have as a 3-star crew in game in Deep Space Nine. And then he played Kimtar, the future spoiler alert, future Alexander Rozhenko in Next Generation.
If you haven't watched a 25-year-old show by now.
And so his last character is Jutrell from Voyager, which it's great to see him across
I didn't know that
3 different shows. And that's a good Neelix episode, and some people would argue there's not a lot of them. This is a good Neelix episode, and there's a lot of science, medical type stuff we might see with that character, which makes him pretty intriguing for the game. So, great actor. I would agree. Don't need to talk about him too much for Galaxy. His bases aren't great, and you're going to have humanoid figure cover a lot of those skills. Much stronger. You do want to grab him if you don't have him yet for double collections, but there's no rush to level him other than little early game gauntlet use.
What's the other one? I know he's obviously Romulan, but his other collection.
I think veteran.
Okay. Well, that could be expanded.
Don't throw me any curveballs, or it takes me. It takes me 10 seconds. Yes, neutral zone Valor.
Okay, yeah, there you go, veteran. He's also desperate. But no, I love the Defector. That's one of my favourite TNG episodes. It's just a classic, sort of just a dialogue-heavy. That's brilliant. That's one of my favourites. That's kind of what I like. Like you say, nothing more to say. Okay, Lieutenant Georgiou, the Tuesday pack super record for this week, features in the 652 pack until... How long do Tuesdays last? It's usually till about Friday?
I think it's a changeover on Friday.
Yeah.
They switch up for discounted older packs.
She's fairly interesting. She's a diplomat side. There's something to it, but being a Georgiou variant and having disco potential is pretty much puts her up like most Georgious, and like number 2 faction award winner DC Pilot said in his debut Big Book note that she is armed Georgiou, but better. Is that the word? Armed Georgiou? Yeah, it's armed Georgiou. Armed Georgiou ever so slightly better. She's sort of a minor improvement on an established formula. But the interesting thing is the pack that she comes in with is there's quite a few good cards in here. Should you be tempted to come pull it, but you've got Science Officer Spock for one, who is infamously the only Big Book card to be rated 2.5. You've also got Pining Vina, who is not yet in the portal, I don't think. I can't remember, because it's that kind of cutoff, isn't it?
We were just talking about this. This is insane. I assume our resources are accurate here. We have New Eden Pike in the portal, who was part of the Discovery Mega. Pining Vina, part of the same Discovery Mega, it's not in the portal. So why make the cutoff right in the middle of the Mega? So either our resources are wrong, she's in portal, which I haven't seen her, so I don't think so. Or they make sort of a weird cutoff. In the past, when they've done portal updates, it's been usually right after a Mega, so you can sort of get those crew together. It's a nice, easy cutoff point. So, yeah, she's not in the portal. The other two are, I think it's Officer Spock's in the portal.
Sure is.
Yeah. So, yeah, good. She's a diplomat with a little bit of med, so if you're looking for an excuse to star up gold diplomats, she should make some voyages for you. And then Georgiou herself, like you said, she is nearly exactly the same as armed Philippa Georgiou. The exact same grades. If you look at her voyage score on a spreadsheet, it is in the same screen. You don't have to scroll to find it next to armed Philippa Georgiou. She's got a slightly different skill set, and that's about it. Same two collections. I think her base is like 3 points bigger or something. So they're essentially the same crew. And some people have talked about dipping their purple Georgiou. Section 31 is a good one. She's got a big security base, and I think she has the second most variant events from Discovery crew after obviously Burnham. So you will thaw her from time to time. And then Kaminar Saru in that pack is another collection piece with Jerry Rigger. And Relax number 1 is also not in the portal. She was in a 6-pack, I think, in March. So 3 out of 6 crew not in the portal. Actually, is Saru in the portal? I think he might not be as well.
I'd have to look.
There's someone in chat can tell us. I think this makes 4 out of 6 crew who are not. Either way, 3 out of 6, that's pretty good odds.
Interestingly as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 crew that could potentially be part of a Strange New Worlds event in the future as well, which I just thought, because you've got number 1, Spock and Pike, and Vina probably less so, but they might revisit that as well. So that's sort of just twigged on that one. But it's a very sort of new Trek heavy pack, and it's if you we always say don't do 6 packs, but it's your money.
If you would tolerate a little detour.
Go on.
Now, I'm not caught up with Lower Decks, the new animated series, because I wanted to experience it with other people, watching it with them. So I think I watched 10 minutes. I thought, this is not bad, because I usually hate animated stuff, but this was good. So I know you love it. You watch it as soon as it comes out. What have your impressions been?
To give a bit back, a bit of history. I love anime shows, so I'm kind of the polar opposite to yourself. I grew up watching The Simpsons, got into Family Guy. I've gone off Family Guy, things like that. But I love things like Bob's Burgers. I like Rick and Morty. It's fine. People talk about Rick and Morty like it's either amazing or the devil. I'm fine with it. It's fine. It very much is. It's a non-serious animated. Yes, thank you, Barkley. Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball. Yes. It's a non-serious Trek show, and the one thing I get from it is, yes, it's hectic. Yes, it's a little bit balls to the wall, kind of fast-paced, but it is funny. I like the animation style, and you can tell just from watching it. And I've read interviews with the creator, Mike McHannon, I think is his name. I'd have to look up. That guy loves Trek. And you can see it from the show. There are and it's not just like little references here and there. It's not like J.J. Abrams. If we just mention the Cardassians, we're cool. No, it's very much sort of putting things in deep cuts and actually making things work together. And I kind of appreciate that. I can see some of the complaints some of the community have with the lead character Mariner, that she's a bit too sort of a bit too good. But I feel. I feel it'll come out in time, and it's an early show. We're 3 episodes in, but I love it. Yes, Archer as well. Archer is a fantastic show. Kind of not quite in the same vein, but I'm a big fan. There is definitely more I want to see from it, and I'm glad, and I've said this before, but I'm glad Trek is going in different directions and sort of exploring sort of different areas of narrative comedy. There is a Trek for everyone. There is the new Trek that is going to serialized storytelling like Discovery. There is the potential for Strange New Worlds to go back to the story of the week thing. And there is, there's also the Star Trek Prodigy, which is going to be a more, it's on Nickelodeon, so it's going to be a more kids-orientated Trek show. And that's fine. There's going to be something for everyone. And for people that don't like it, there's still TNG, DS9, and Voyager. They have not gone anywhere. But no, I love it. I think it's fantastic. So, and that's my opinion. I'm not telling everyone, you have to like it. You don't like it, that's fine. Just don't tell me.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. I very much am a classic Trek guy, and I think even through 2 seasons of Discovery, as I've frequently told you guys in our Discord, it doesn't feel like the Trek I know, and I have trouble getting into it in parts. I mean, there's certain storylines, the Tyler Burnham stuff that I've enjoyed, but I am coming around to, give us all different flavors of ice cream, because vanilla's great, that's why it's the staple, but I mean, if you want kids to get into Star Trek, if you wanted to endure as a story, you have to have all different chapters, or it's, I said it at times when Enterprise ended and Nemesis was the last movie, all hope was gone. I thought, that's the end. I'll never see another Star Trek in my lifetime. So the fact that it's back now, so many series, movies, big names that are tied to it, I think it's great. So. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching through it, and I would assume that we're going to get. Have they confirmed lower decks characters in the game yet?
Nothing's been. We might find out next week. We don't know, but I've not heard anything. No announcement.
Maybe we can find that from
hopefully so, because I remember they put up a post saying yes, we can do short treks, and then yes, we can do Picard shows now. So hopefully we will have a post that says yes, we can do Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks and Prodigy. So we shall see. Hopefully, I hope so. I would definitely love to have Ensign Tendi in the game, without a doubt. She's probably one of my favorite characters so far. So.
And actually, I'll be interested to see how they handle the art, because we talked before about the original series art and how you sort of integrate it with. It looks a little more realistic in game than it did back in the late 60s or 70s. I don't know when animated series was.
That's a good point. When was the motion picture? It was 70. Before I was born, so.
Stars, come bail us out. Come back on the show, buddy.
We miss you, big brain. We need you. TMP was 79, so yeah, that animated series would have been about 72, so something like that, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Rev Demar 72. Yes, good guess. So hopefully we'll get some lower ducks. Lower ducks? We'll get some lower ducks. We'll get some lower decks. All your foul play going on. Shall we have a talk about the... Well, we spoke briefly about this last week, didn't we? The fact that the 490s were now 390s. Could have been a glitch that time, and maybe it got swept under the rug. Apparently, this week, they are 390s again. So I'm kind of suspect to believe this is less of a glitch and more of things going forward, as it were. So maybe Mega 490s are now 390s. So we had Indian Sectoid Counselor and an array of various Ziddy super rares, and Archer and Porthos, an array of Archer super rares.
Well, now, before we get too far into it, for our VIP Zero viewers, those purple crystals, dilithium, when he says 490 and 390, he's talking about those 3 crew packs up in the portal. So, in case we have any new viewers,
So if you're a good boy and immortalize lots of crew, these 2 could be yours. Yes, these I think going to 390 definitely swayed me. Well, as you know, there was a few of us had a bit of a joint pulling of bug packs. 390 was definitely a bit more of a sweet spot to say, actually, yeah, we'll do this, because, and this kind of stemmed on for the fact of this Mega being very so-so, looking at the goals thinking, I don't want any of them. I've got EV Suitabol and Travers, and I'm not inclined to add stars to them, so I don't want to pull 390s, whereas this offer comes up for 390, yeah, I'm going to do that, because I had 1 star of the bug, as it were, not the big bug that's going around, but the insectoids indie bug. I think I pulled 15 packs and got my 4 stars. And haven't done, and that was... okay, value was relative here, but that was a low cost for what you could have paid for it.
Yeah. And this Indian Sectoid is still a very good card. He debuted in a 6-pack as the number 2 overall Voyager, and I think that was shortly after I joined the game. So that was a lofty stat card, but he's still a very good Voyager, and that I think he has Security Tertiary, which helps break up a very bloated command psi skill set. He's got 2 collections. In fact, this pack has 3 Vanity Collection crews. So if you're into that, a lot of people like to get just that first star. So if they want to shift focus and finish a Vanity Collection, they can at least do that. So yeah, those 3 crew there, and then Archer and Porthos. And this is interesting because we had a few times, I think, at the end of last year, where they would put up this limited time $10 offer for a copy of a crew, and then they would also be in discounted packs. And so we haven't seen that in a while. I think Honored Oshikun, sorry. First Officer Burnham and Queen Poe all had that treatment. Was it all in the same Discovery Meg? I think it might have been. And I don't remember seeing it until then. So this is sort of interesting. You can pull a few packs if you like the character. And if you get lucky, you can get a guaranteed star as well. Maybe save you some dilithium. So I kind of like that they have that option from time to time. I hope they continue it. But we've sort of seen the shift in terms of greater pack value for players. We've had dilithium added to event rewards, added to campaigns. We have the offer wall in the game now where you can get dilithium if you want. And the packs, we've had discounted mega packs, discounted 3 crew packs. So in terms of, I mean, yeah, a lot of us play the game because it's fun to pull packs and try to get the characters you like. Some more wax at that pinata, as it were, can be a lot of fun for players.
I do like I think I've changed my opinion, for people that know me that follow things that I do. I like to pull big amounts of recap packs because it's kind of fun, but I'm kind of swaying away and looking at these 490s and 390s and kind of going, actually having a bit more of a focused shot at what I need as opposed to sort of a big old shot in the dark kind of. It's good, and as I've said before, I'm not doing recaps this time. I said last week I would, after seeing Jamel and Captain Hernandez. Nah, not doing that. I can't. It's not worth it. I'd rather focus on packs like these for now. And we'll save it for next time, for the next nigga that hopefully can't set a bar lower than this one.
We said that last time. Don't tempt fate, man.
We were wrong. Well, I was wrong. We said Caregiver Mega was bad, but actually, 3 decent gold cards in there. There have been no decent gold cards in this one. I'm going to say it. There have been no decent gold cards in this Mega.
Alicia Travers is a pretty good Med Voyager, but beyond that, yeah,
which you can replicate elsewhere.
The next Mega actually will be in October, and I've been pining not for Vina, but for a costumed Mega in October, line up with Halloween. That can be a really fun, quirky theme. So I think costume crew are at 90-something bonus pools. So I know that's sort of a hot button issue. Too many crew, not enough crew, whatever. But I think costumed in October could be a lot of fun. So that's what I'm holding out for. But the crew quality may dictate the level of fun for a lot of people.
Sorry, I'm just chuckling. Stars in chat. Crusher Sex Ghost 5-star recurring. Yes. I would do that. That would be great. What was his name?
Yeah. Ronan.
That's the one.
Yeah, and we'll have Stars read the recap for that episode.
Oh.
I'll be Nanny Crusher. You can wait, Ronan. We can watch our viewers plummet as they ban us.
No, that's what they want. They want the goofs. We're going to need to do more of that.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely getting back to recaps and bits and stuff. I think we had this little shake, but I think after the very serious, in-depth discussion next week with Ben, maybe we'll get back to more antics.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of fun antics, shall we? So this is the part where we're going to talk about our roster of five. You said 6, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people have sent in their sites for us, their rosters for us to advise on what site. Well, that's more specifically Auto to have a look and advise them on what sites they should use, because we've all just had on honor sale, and quite a few of us spent quite a bit of honor to get quite a few sites, and we're like, we don't know what to do with them. I've still got 15 that I'm going to plough into the Age of Sail collection unless something better comes along. But we have rosters from, and this feels a little bit like cheating, but we have BigMcLargeHuge sent in his roster. But you've got to have a level. We also have PicardLovesRed. He has sent in his roster. Shai Khan, Henning 1101, and Admiral Sven Lungren. Oh, I can't even say it. Can you say it?
Sven Lungren.
Lungren. There we go.
Close enough.
Close enough. Apologies if you're that beholden to your name. So we've had rosters from them that we are going to have a bit of a discussion about, and you might notice sort of as we go through this, there's going to be a few familiar themes. But Otto, do you want to kind of take us away on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to warn our normal viewers. This is going to be a little drier than what you might like, but obviously people are in citation paralysis all the time, and they don't know. They want an outside look, so of course we want to help the viewers when we can. This might be a feature we just try out after honor sales, maybe when you have a big stockpile of citations. But yeah, this is going to be a 30-minute monologue of me talking about cruise. So if that's not your bag, hey, we've added timestamps on the YouTube, so you can totally skip ahead and find your own. So,
and now from our sponsor.
Yeah, just run a Raid Shadow Legends ad over this. To start out with, we are of course big on nepotism here on the show. So BigMcLargeHuge is going to be our first one, and he says, I think most people gave us a little preamble. He says, I have 6 citations. 10-hour voyages are the norm for me, to the point that I don't monitor that closely, and I get annoyed when they don't make it. I have quite a number of strong crew that I could cite that would make voyages incrementally better, and that's a general philosophy I've followed from the beginning. On the other hand, I feel that at a certain level of roster maturity, citing purely for stats brings diminishing returns. For the first time, I'm considering things like collections as avenues for growth. For example, 4 citations spread out among these crew would finish the Our Man Bashir collection. But crew slots are starting to be a bigger issue for me, which also has me considering citing some 4 out of 5-star crew that I wouldn't necessarily use and can freeze. It's a peculiar spot for me to be in, but I suspect there are a lot of endgame rosters out there in similar situations. Well, I had structured this as a giant plug for Idle's data core analysis sheet, which you can find.
Be spreadsheet chat.
Yes. We'll put the link in the YouTube description. You can find it in the Ready Room subforum on the DB forums, and I'm sure you'll throw it in chat.
Oh, it's everywhere.
So if you would pull up slide 1 for BigMcLargeHuge, one of the recent.
Hang on, I'm going to pull up slide 1. I'm going to quickly go to the toilet, so you talk. I'll be back.
One of the recent functions that he added has to do with potential crew. Meaning, if you cite these crew to max, this is where they would fall in terms of your rank and power. Now, the names you kind of want to zero in on if you're using this function are the ones that are highest on the list who aren't 5/5 yet. Because that means when you cite them, that's where they land. These might be diamonds in the rough that you've overlooked. And of course, that's only one component of voyageability is score. The other one is skill sets, skill pairs, skill triplets. I know this gets into a lot of spreadsheet stuff, but IL sheet breaks it down pretty easy to understand. So when he gets back, I'll have him shift over to the skill set stuff. But a crew who ranks highly in overall potential score, but is among your lower power level for skill pairs, is likely to make the biggest difference for you. So a good example of this, and a name that jumped out to me when I started looking at Big's roster, is Mycelial Culver. He's the only medical primary crew in your top 20 potential voyagers. You can pull up slide 2. We'll take a look at his skill pairs. And the downside is his medical science is very strong already, but his medical command is very weak. That happens a lot. We have good med sci crew, not a lot of med command crew. But your voyage estimates that we got from the IM Tosk tool, that's another good, it was based on the old IM Picard tool, but without the in-game functionality. You can Google IM Tosk, it'll pop up for you. It gives you a nice breakdown of the estimated length of your voyages. that tool as well as Idle's tool both agree that Med Command is your weak point. So I know Big is very much a stats disciple. He loves getting the best through the strongest through. And he mentioned being annoyed about those edge case voyages that fail just at 950, just under 10 hours. So Hulber is already head and shoulders above other medical primaries and overall score. And he attacks your weak point here with Med Command. So I think he'll save you a few headaches per month by getting those 950 voyages to 10. Maybe he'll save you some voyage refresh tokens as well. Beyond that, I guess you can pull up his list of crew that I'm recommending him to say. Beyond that,
this is my favorite bit.
Now, see, this was so dry. And Idle, God bless him, worked hard to arrange these crew in a very visually pleasing manner.
This is cool. I call this one Timeline's Got Talent.
Where was I in my ramble? Yeah, so no. Beyond that, let's try to combine a few other of his goals, which are crew space and collections. I think vanity collections are the big one. Julian Bashir is at 3 stars. Derek is at 4 stars, and Jadzia is at 4 stars as well. So a good example of a vanity crew that you can target with citations if you really love vanities. I know a lot of people don't find value in that, but it's a crew that will also get use on events. Vanity crew are usually not the strongest, so if you can get some event work out of them, even if you freeze them. We talked last week about Julian Bashir, and the numbers aren't terribly flattering, but he is still a med primary, I think, on voyages. I think his base and voyage swap primary. Med Sec is unrepresented, is your second worst voyage pair. Honey Bear Jadzia at voyage rank 132 is still strong enough to make voyages, and Science Engineering is of middling strength on your roster, so she'll certainly make runs there. All 3 of these crew are regular event names, which is a big plus for getting value out of citations, like I said. And you could freeze some of that if you're not going to use them on voyages. If you want a crew slot, you'll still finish your vanity collection. Came back to the strong stats crew, because I know it's where you're going to gravitate to anyway, Big. Zindy Insectoid. Now, he's in these packs.
Just to undercut you there, Big has just posted, because everyone was saying, you should get the bugs in the 390s. Big just put up, I tried. Lord, I tried. 1 bug in 18 packs. Oh, that is...
I was internally debating whether or not I could out him on that, because I know that's sort of a source. I know it's a sore point for him, so if he's put that in chat, then I guess we're okay to do that.
That's fine.
But you did get another star on him, so I think he's 2 out of 5 now on your roster.
This changes everything. You got on the site. Go back to work again.
It's house money. We're paying with free money at this point. We just talked about him, but the double collection, including Diplomat, which is the most influential stat boosting collection in the game. He's a potential top 20 voyage for you. And even though Dip's Eye is common on your roster, it's actually outside of your top 5 voyage combos, so he would do work for you. Now, the bigger downside, I guess, for him is Delphic Expanse, I think is the name of the vanity collection. It's not terribly desirable. You have Degra, Lokek Sato. I think I have no clue how to pronounce it, but that's how you guys pronounce it.
Okay.
They're kind of weaker crew, but he will help you make progress with the vanity and is very useful day to day. Beyond that, you have Determined Pairs. Sec Dip, which are his top 2 skills. It's just in the bottom half of your both shuttle and voyage pairs on Idle's data core analysis sheet. And he's got long-term value with Paris events, which hit a 70% faction rate to date, so you'll use him a lot on shuttles. And he's, bar none, one of the strongest diplomat crew in the game. So I know a lot of people are trying to make headway toward Diplomat, Vulcan, etc. Who else do we have? We have Lunzak, who is sort of a punchline, power the death ray, but he's actually a pretty good crew. The biggest negative is he is Sec Command, which no one needs help with. I think of all the rosters we looked at this week, it was the top strength on everybody's roster. But he has a little tertiary edge that will help. Voyage number 73, pending whatever crew we added this week, is still above Homesteader Janeway. It's above Q as God, which a lot of people are running daily on their rosters. And granted, his skill set's not as good, but the power is there. So he can contribute there, and maybe he can help you freeze another second man crew. I think people, I don't want to speak for everyone, I think that more endgame people who might be listening to the show are starting to freeze their Cortars, their Pull of House Core, etc. And so he can help replace one of those, and you won't see any drop off in the command sec voyages. He's also in the veteran collection, which is one of the larger represent stat boosters in the game. So maybe we get that 60 crew threshold treatment on that one if it's expanded. And his traits are actually very good for a one-off named Hologram. Has had 8 event bonuses to date, which is more than any other trait except Discovery. And it's still pretty small with only 45 holograms. He also has Villain, Veteran, Marksman. They're all in that great 40 to 60 crew range. And his other traits, even though they're larger, have already been bonus. Brutal, Romantic, and both of them are events not in a mega event. So we may see those rerun, even though they're quite large. So that is my recommendation for you. And in the order of sighting, I would say Culber first, Zindibug, Determined Paris, and then if you want to muck around with the Vanity Crew, Jadzia, Lunzak, Bashir, and Garak. Now you have 6 citations. If you want to finish my man Bashir and then start to work on a powerhouse, I'm not going to stop you. But I've worked for you for a long time, so I think maybe one more powerhouse crew before you quit it for good and go to the dark side. I would go with Cutler. He's very, very strong for med voyaging.
It's called Sighting for Love, not money.
And, with the amount of packs you pull idle, I would expect you to start focusing on vanity collections first. So who's up first for you? Lokex Sato? Is that...
I airlocked her. I kind of wish I hadn't because she's the one I'm missing now. But I am planning to Age of Sail collection is my next one, since I have an Age of Sail Picard there and enough space to finish them all, so that'll be happening soon.
Yeah, and you'll get Avatar, which,
I'll get the fancy hat.
It is the next level up of vanity, having an avatar that said, I immortalized a bunch of crew I might not be using. Although Age of Sail is very good.
Yeah. Crash is not bad, but not someone I'm going to use.
No, Culber's not in the portal. He did be in a 6-pack, I want to say earlier this year, and then he was thrown into a 4-pack in that event with Riker Rodan.
It was Riker Rodan, Mycel Cobalt, and 1701 Bashir.
Oh, okay. That was one of my many retirement phases. So, but I do know that that's the only pack. Here's a piece of timeline stocks trivia. The only dilithium pack that Stellar Ice ever pulled, because they were all good cards. She didn't have them fully fused. So, hey, if Stellar Ice is pulling for my Mycel Culber in a pack, you can be safe sighting him up.
You gotta go wrong there.
Okay, let's move on to PicardLovesReds.
Okay.
And I guess you can throw out his recommendations.
Oh, recommendations first, yeah?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Let me read what he gave us as a guideline. PicardLovesReds said, I have 3 citations left in the sale. Garrett 7 dropped in a hold, so there went 4 right away. Don't blame me, dude. My primary goal is 10-hour voyages. I play Gauntlet regularly, so I don't wish to cite those exclusives. I buy the monthly campaign, and I plan to hoard honor until Convergence Day, so say we all. I've been tracking my 10-hour successes, and at least the first one for each of the 30 combos. I only have these following combos remaining, and he lists them off. I'm leaning toward a Tactical Officer Neelix, Niners Ezri, or Humbled Archer. So, first thing I did was look at those 10-hour voyages. He wants to check that off in each skill set. Now, he gave me 6 voyage combos that haven't hit 10 hours yet. Well, he gave me 5, and I added Med-Eng because everyone needs Med-Eng help, whether you want to admit it or not. So, out of the 6 combos, 4 include engineering, 3 include security, 3 include med, and then 1 for each of the other skills. So, Eng, Sec, Med. My first thought, of course, was Baul. Now, I was working on this early in the week, so Baul was still in a discounted pack, a 490 pack in the portal. So, and Baul wasn't on his roster at the time, so I poked him on Discord. The packs were still up, and I asked, hey, this is highlights as one of your weaknesses. Is that interest you? And he said, no, that crew isn't really one that he wants. So Instead, I sort of shifting focus to crew who would cover two of those skills. And of course, the number one hot name on everyone's list, we got her recently, Medic Jet Reno. She covers two of those skills, Med and Eng. And I think as most people watching know, there are only 4 crew who have Med and Eng as their top 2 skills. Her, Down Probe Phlox, a recent Honor Hall edition, White Rabbit, and Imprinted Archer. Now, Imprinted Archer is in a limited time offer right now. It's sort of buyer beware because he is 238 voyage ranks lower than Medic Jet Reno. Now, in real terms, that's a 10% difference, which doesn't sound like a lot for one of the best crew in the game to score-wise one of the worst, but 10% is the difference between a 9-hour voyage and a 10-hour voyage, which is what he's trying to reach. So there are a few things that set Medic Reno apart from that list of Med-Eng crew. She has 2 stat boosting collections, if you're a believer that they will continue to be expanded. That's 2 in the bank already. She's a Med primary, which in the big picture, she has the 3rd highest voyage score of 29 Med primary crew, 3 out of 29. And on your roster, when looking at your 4-5 and 5-5 3-skill golds, medical and science are tied for the fewest crew who have that primary with 8. So it's your weakest skill. I think you can bring up slide 1. Looking at your skill pairs, it is your weakest skill. And I think for what, I know in the bottom 4, I guess I should be more prepared than that. I already have everyone's data core spreadsheet open, so my computer's blowing smoke at me. But yeah, Eng Med, Command Med, Sec Med, Sci Med are 4 of his weakest 5. So surely looking at a Med primary crew first works. The deal sealer for me is she's already at 2 out of 5, and you're sitting on 3 citations. So I think those puzzle pieces fit perfectly together. That is the slam dunk choice for me. After that, you can bring up his other crew. I see several pairs of crew who complement each other well and offer slightly different perks. The first ones are Niners Esri and Tactical Officer Neelix. Now, for a long time, Neelix was sort of my voyage poster boy, because he's the only crew I've seen who had 4 top 10 voyage triplets. And that's sort of an interesting topic that we don't have time to cover today. But voyage triplets, the more you can collect, the higher they are, the more flexible these crew are going to be. They fit into different seats and add big amounts of whatever feature skill you may need. So now 14 months after his debut, his voyage triplets are still 2nd, 3rd, 7th, and 12th. Now, Niners Esri, who has better power than him in the same skill set, her triplets are 1st, 19, 19, and 42. And the big difference, of course, is the skill order. Neelix has that Med secondary, hers is tertiary. And that is usually a very small thing. But in this case, it makes a big difference. There's a lot of crew that Neelix will edge out that Esri can't. So in terms of just pure voyage potential, I'd take Neelix there. But if you're considering vanity or events, Esri has the thumbs up for me. And I think I'd probably cite her over him on my own roster.
Just to jump in there, the sheet you are seeing now is actually a new feature of my data core sheet, where it will show you your potential crew based on what you have. So this isn't actually PicardLovesRed's roster as you see it, is what it could be had he cited everyone at 5 of 5. So that's something that can show you what you could have in the new feature. So just so everyone's saying, why cite him up? He's already at the top. Well, no, this is not what he's got yet.
Well, don't worry, that was the first thing I plugged while you were reading the bedtime story to your son. So, no, that's good. Where was I? I was talking about complementary pairs. Okay, Dr. Van Gogh. He is 2 out of 5 already. He hits the Eng Med pairing. And even though Eng Psi isn't the bottom of the barrel in terms of your strengths, you have 4 crew who have Eng Psi as a primary and secondary. They are Lieutenant Commander Icheb, Mir Stamets, Protomorphos Barkley, and Phoenix Cochran. And believe it or not, they are all outside of the top 100 Voyagers. You're making faces at me. What's wrong, Idle?
Oh, you say Cochran, and I just went, what?
Not a big fan, huh?
I airlocked him. Anyway, carry on.
Well, yeah, I think he's close to Voyage 300 at this point in terms of rank. So it's that is a skill combo that, even though overall shows strong, it certainly wouldn't help to shore it up. Beyond that, Van Gogh has double collections, good anti-meta voyage traits. I think a lot of the more boring event traits, Human Federation, Starfleet, etc., Physician, they show up a lot more for voyage antimatter, which is your main goal here, hitting those 10-hour voyages. And the yin to his yang, of course, is Leonardo da Vinci. They're like right next to each other in voyage form. And a lot of Van Gogh's positives also apply to da Vinci, but he's only 1.5, which is another citation. He's missing the event regularity of Doc. I say that because Doc is, I don't know, maybe he'll get 1.5 per year, but it is better than relying solely on traits. So either of those, I think if you want to pick one of those, would be a good help to your Angmad beyond just Reno. Another pair that jumps up to me is Wrathful Kirk. He scratches that second Eng itch, which is one of those combos that hasn't hit 10 hours yet. And he's only behind Captain Braxton and Triple Herder Scotty in terms of voyage power for his skill set. So his voyage number 43 overall. Of course, Sec Eng is your strongest, Sec Command is your strongest combo. It's most people's strongest combo. But admittedly, the bulk of this recommendation is for his base. Now, if you sided up Wrathful Kirk, he would be your second best security base just behind High Roller Cisco. And to put it delicately, your Kirks are a wasteland. You have a 1.5 Survivalist Kirk and a 1.5 Laborer Kirk, and then a couple of level 1 golds at 1.52. So I'm guessing by this you're not a big fan of faction events, but he gets generally a couple per year, and his faction rate is actually over 80%. So I think he can really pull some double duty for you with shuttles and voyages. And the yin to his yang, which is a name that I don't think most people talk about because of his voyage score, is Resilient Tuvok. But he has a better skill order than Wrathful Kirk. Sec Eng, as his top 2 skills, lets him hit that combo bang on. He ticks a box in the newly expanded Vulcan collection. And he does have a little bit of event potential. I would say he would help you a little more purely for voyaging on your roster than Kirk, but Kirk obviously has a big lead for events. Now, if you want to jump back to his potential voyagers, I think that's number 2, slide 2. I can tell you really love your voyage crew because there are very few names on this list who aren't already 5.5. And so for that reason, I'll also throw Irina's name into the mix. She's a Sec Eng voyager, a slightly better power than Tuvok, and the best option you have for that skill set. Now, her collection is currently a little bit less valuable than Vulcan, but she has a pretty great trait list for one-off crew. And I think picking, if you are a slave to voyage total, as some of us are, she might be a better option for you there than Tuvok. Now, you mentioned, to wrap this up, let's talk a little bit about Dip Crew, because you mentioned Humble Archer. I'm a big fan of Humbled Archer in a bubble, but I don't see Dimet as a big weakness of yours. You're pretty loaded with 5.5s, Soji, Q as God, Cornwell, Red Phlox, 2 Bartender Guidance, and a couple other crew. Those all help with Med and Dip. And his skills only hit one of your unreached 10-hour voyage combos, that is Med and Command. Now, he does have a great base. And if Dip outside of voyages is at all consideration for you, I would just look at finishing Professor Sato, because she's already at 4.5. And she's a crew that if you pull a duplicate of, you will use on shuttles. A duplicate 1.5 would already be your number 7 Dip base, and scales absurdly huge with extra stars. I think it's over 1,700 with bonuses. So all in all, I think your crew, your list of potential site candidates are a little more voyage heavy than some, but I think it jives with the roster decisions you've made to this point being very voyage power heavy. So the 3 names for me in order that I think are slam dunks for you: Medic Jet Reno, Tactical Officer Neelix, and Niners Esri. And then beyond that, Wrathful Kirk, Resilient Tuvok, Erika, Dr. Van Gogh, Leo da Vinci, Laborer Kirk, who is a pretty good overall package. And then Professor Sato, I have at the bottom. That's up to you to decide how much you want to look at base versus voyage. And now I'm going to drink while idle now.
From chat, Mr. Beasley McCoy says Leonardo da Vinci, as played by John Rhys Davies, who you might know better as Gimli, Sarah and General Pushkin from the Living Daylights. His random Bond fact: he could not be here to give us in person. He also says Da Vinci has those niche gauntlet pairs and better collection, but yeah, Van Gogh edges them out for Voyagers.
Okay, that number 3 on our list is Shai Khan.
Shai Khan!
Now, I remember Shai Khan because they posted a comment on the Suspiria Rand YouTube video saying, quote, to be fair, in the Cold Fire episode, the Ocampa leader Tanis does say specifically they don't consider Suspiria to be a caretaker. So the lack of her caretaker trait can be forgiven, or caregiver trait, right, can be forgiven. Now, I did come across that in my research. I even had it in my little rant write-up that I did, but it was going to go long as it was, so I pulled that and a couple other things out.
Did you pull it, or did I mute you?
No, I think I pulled that one out. I wasn't going to give any ammunition to the opposition, but no, I did think about that. But if we're taking the word of a 12-year-old over thousands of years of her caregiver history, I can't agree with that. So I do remember you from that. So she says about her roster, a little background. I'm a level 88 free-to-play player, admiral of a modest fleet, mainly interested in expanding voyage capacity, though I've been doing some playing around with arena efficiency, hence my not fusing 2 Captain Killies. And of course, it would always be nice to be more competitive in events. I currently have 14 gold citations, though I'm reserving some for an upcoming mega event recurring legendaries. I left a number of free legendaries in the inbox due to having limited slots. Now, this is a free-to-play player who has 14 citations, so I can tell there's a little bit of citation paralysis here, so hoping we can relieve that. First of all, after looking at your data core printout, finish leveling your humanoid figure, because I noticed his dip isn't to max yet. You've already put a citation on him. We have a galaxy coming up, so you will make back in galaxy crafting efficiency whatever you have to pay to finish his gear, so I would do that first. And I wouldn't worry about your inbox crew either. I don't think they factor into citation decisions. The only one that jumps out to me is Survivalist Kirk, who at 1-5 could do some arena damage and a little bit of gauntleting if you need him for that. Now, since you brought her up, Captain Killy, I don't think you need 2 copies of her at 1-5. You're hogging a crew slot.
No, okay.
You disagree?
My own personal bias with Captain Killy. Please carry on.
Wait, oh, that's right. I remember you spamming GIFs in Discord of how much you love her.
GIFs?
What, sonnets? What was it? I don't know.
Anything. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Carry on.
Okay. I personally, Automaton 2000, don't think you need 2 copies of her. You're eating a crew slot, and if you fuse them, you're going to get a little bit of voice and event help. Now you have Miragila Detmer and Enemy Line Cisco, who are both 400% damage, 8 seconds. So that's if you're using the speed up in skirmishes, that's only 0.66 second difference. You could replace that copy pretty easily with crew that you already have on your roster. Now, the first thing that caught my eye is Mobile Doctor. You have a 2-5 leveled up, and you have a 1-5 sitting there with no super rare 7 on your roster. Now, that hurts me a little bit inside. I can feel your lack of patience from here. For a VIP0 crew to keep an extra unfused gold, they must really have plans for it. So, if that were my account, I would bookmark 3 purple citations so that as soon as I get 7, you can make Cheesecake 7. Now, I understand that may not be the best advice for a free-to-play player. I'm sure you feel you need the purple sites to keep up with the crew slots. So this comes down to how you feel you're managing your slots. Theoretically, you could go from picking up purple 7 on the voyage to having a fully fused Cheesecake 7 in a couple hours. That would be pretty tempting to me. That would keep my sites on lockdown. But of course, you need to manage your slots and all that other stuff. So I'll leave that one up to you. She's on the maybe list. So if we look at your skill pairs, I guess you already have that up there. Mm-hmm. This roster isn't quite as endgame as some of the vanity hunting ones that we've looked at already. But she has 12 immortalized golds and over a dozen citations. So we're playing with house money. We're going to spread it around a little bit. Like the boys in the, what is that TNG episode where Data,
Royale.
Worf, and The Royale.
Yeah.
We need spreading around citations, which is what we have here. So I would recommend, I think, good all-around crew who excel in a lot of areas and have a little event tag attached to them so they will last longer. Now, you do have a very big dip base hole in your roster, which I think a lot of players have been lamenting looking for a dip primary mega crew. So even though the sums of your pairs don't show dip as a big weakness in your roster, the dip base is. Your only fully fused dip crew or dip primary crew now is Bartender Guinan, who's not a big shuttle help. So this is one of the few cases where I'd sign off on citing humanoid figure, which you already have. He's not going to have that longevity of a lot of crew, but he helps now to a bigger degree than some of those would, and he only requires one site to finish. So looking at dip names, Mamba Picard stands out to me. Now, base is not his forte. It's only 1,100 without bonuses. He would be your number 2 dip base if you max him. He's very proficient on voyages. I think he's still hanging around number 33 or something like that for voyages. And of course, he gets Picard events. So he would bulk up several areas of your roster at once, even if his base is not the best. And he's already at 2-5, which will save you a citation versus some 1-5 crew. The other diplomacy option that stands out to me is Bridge Officer number 1. She's sort of dropped out of being in vogue, but she still has a big base. Dip Eng is her weakest dip pairing for voyages. And presumably soon she'll be in 2 simultaneously running Trek shows. I don't know if she'll still be in Discovery, but she'll get bonuses for that as well as being in.
She got the disco tag? I suppose she has, hasn't she? Yeah. That'd be an interesting one.
So she may catch a bonus even if she doesn't. I think she'll be your number 1 and number 2 dip base next to humanoid figure. Now, if you pull up slide 2, let's look again at her potential voyagers. There are a few science names on this list who already have some stars and could slot in as your number 2 base behind Picard and number 1. The first name is Surak. He is a name that has paid off citations on voyages since the day he's debuted. I don't know if you've been playing that long and just kept him at 4 or 5 for that long, or if you just maybe you prefer event names better, but he will pay off that 1 star for sure. He hits an expanded collection when you finish him in Vulcan, and that last star gives him 150 base science points that push him to number 2 on your roster to help out of shuttles. The other alternative at the bottom of that list is Homesteader Janeway. Now, has 3 stars already. She would also be your number 2 science base, and she has a little more useful skill set than Surak with that medical secondary, and she's also the event queen. 12 of her 13 events have had a faction component, so she's to date all but been guaranteed to help you out in events. I would only cite one of those because science isn't your biggest weakness, but they both have several stars on them already, so if you want to knock out some more models, one of those 2 I think would be good. Now, your med crew look better than the pairs might tell you. In terms of immortalized golds, they're only behind Command Sec. But nevertheless, as you've seen on these other rosters so far, Med Command is always at the bottom of the barrel. So citing them wouldn't be a waste. And I think I have a couple med names for you later on. First Officer Burnham is on there. She's at 1-5, and she's never a bad citation choice. She's been in the game for 3 years now. Her ranks have moved like 2 or 3 steps down compared to other crew that have plummeted, 200 rank. Gangster Spock on voyages is down, 300 ranks or something like that?
Crazy.
And First Officer Burnham is down 3. And she also, a funny little thing, because in the past I've charted some crew, how much stats do additional stars add? And most of them add 1,063, 1,052. There's like large chunks of crew that add the exact same stats from skills. She actually adds 20% more than the average crew, and that is the highest name that I've charted. So adding additional, she may not be very impressive at 1-5. She's more impressive at 5-5 than the average crew.
Gangster Spock has dropped 311 voyage ranks since his release. Now, my calculations don't account star-based bonuses, but that's still a hell of a drop.
Yeah, she's down 3 voyage ranks, and one of them is not her fault. When they added more bonuses from the Diplomat collection or whatever, I think Boothby flip-flopped with her, but nevertheless, she's rock solid. Command is your strength, so if you don't want to cite her, I understand. She'll still be a great citation candidate next year, I promise. But if you want one of the safest options for citations, she's there. And then to round it out, I think a sec security target wouldn't be bad. Sec Sci, Sec Med are tough combos to hit, and you have a few strong security names that can help out. Niners Esri, who we've talked about already, has a good amount of Sec Med. She's got great voyage power and good event work. Activated Dodge from the last Mega. She hits the Sec Sci deficiency right on the nose and has very good voyage score. And there's a big question mark. Will we get Picard Megas? Will we not? But she would be your number one Sec base. So bonus or not, she will be making faction shuttles for you. And then Determined Paris, who may not help out with a lot of those combos, but he would be your top Sec base. Good voyage power, regular events, and a spot in the Diplomat collection. So I would recommend, I put a lot of sort of pairs on this list. I recommend trying to spread around these citations and maybe get one for each skill rather than, trying to burrow into just security or just science. So my list in full in order for you would be Medic Jet Reno, Bridge Officer number 1, who's sort of a bold choice number 2, but you could use Dip for sure and Dip Eng. Number 3, I have Mambo Picard, Dr. Pollard, Niners Esri, First Officer Burnham, Activated Dodge, Homesteader Janeway, Sirach, Juliana Tainer, Dr. Van Gogh, Determined to Paris, and then an honorable mention for Cheesecake 7, if you are lucky enough to get her purple crew and fuse them up. Vamp, I'm drinking, my voice is going.
I had a lot of fun making these little dioramas. If anyone can spot Juliana Taylor, I think that's my best work yet. And I don't know why, but someone pointed out earlier, but I just hadn't. I found out, I was giggling to myself earlier, just making Determined Paris as little as possible. So as Ace says in the chat, as a kid with his battle, I'm relevant.
Now, is he one of those crew whose size is messed up in game, like Age of Sail?
No, I think he's all right. I just made him small for a bit of a joke. I think the latest one was, I can't remember now. Someone's come out that's small. No, it's escaped. Carry on.
Idle spends hours, days working on stuff for the stream, graphics and crew cards and all that stuff. So
I'm allowed to play.
I gave him this big, long, dry list, and it's like, maybe I'll make this one bigger, and I put her over there, and I'm like, thank God. If anyone's still watching, it's going to be because of Idle's hard work. Okay, up next we have Mr. Henning, who I think is in the Tenna fleet.
He is in a free-to-play as well. Good on him.
Okay. Guten Tag, mein deutscher Freund.
Not just free-to-play. No, sorry, VIP 0. He is not just free-to-play, but VIP 0.
Okay, he says, I have one citation left, and I won't spend honor until the next sale. My account is free-to-play, as you say. Crew quarters are always full to the max. There is, until now, no real diplomacy workhorse, and I think this account could use one. One possibility would be to add the last citation a humanoid figure. Alternatively, I could wait it out for the honor sale and then use all the citations at once. So he has one now, so this is more of a theoretical future list for you. Now, I reached out to Henning on Discord to learn a little bit more about his goals, and I think he said that filling in skill gaps is going to be the top priority here. And my top priority is to find a diplomacy option for him other than humanoid figure, because I think that's more of a young roster, newer player crew. He's not going to age well, I can promise you that. Now, we made an exception for Shai's roster because their diplomacy weakness is more pronounced than the most. So let's pull up slide 1 for Mr. Henning. And if he's looking for some diplomacy help, I wanted to hit 2 birds with 1 stone here because his weakest dip pair is Dip Eng for base, and Dip Sec is also in the neighborhood. So I wanted to look at the Dip Sec Eng skill set and see if there are any diamonds in the rough. And in slide 2, this is another great, you have voyage triplets and potential voyage triplets that you can look at if you're trying to say to hit 2 combos with 1 stone.
I would like to just thank Google Sheets' query function for this amazing feature. Carry on.
I think we should have an episode just you talking about spreadsheets. I will heckle you from the chat, but I will watch every last minute of it.
I'll do that on a Thursday, Friday, I think.
So the name of the bullet here is Ishanche Cisco. He's a fantastic card. And on your roster, he would have the 4th best voyage score of your potential crew, Henning. He's in the top 20 overall voyages as well. I think he's Voyager number 19 as of last week. He gets regular event work. What's her name?
That's Athena.
Athena.
So I was trying to be full with it.
My wife and cat already sneaked into the room while I was rambling and gave her something to eat. Ishan Cisco, he'll get event work as a Cisco variant. He's got a couple of intriguing traits, including Bajoran, which I really like. It's had 2 bonuses already, and I would bet that it gets mega at some point because it's not very large. They've done a lot of racial megas, etc. Now, he's not a big fat diplomacy primary, unfortunately, but he hits the 2 combos that you need. He's a great Voyager and great all-rounder. So I'll put him on the list, but we'll continue searching for a dip crew. Now, I was looking at your potential voyage crew list, slide 3, idle, and I saw a couple other names that are interesting. Mambo Picard and New Eden Pike. Now, they're both the primary crew. Both their names are tied to an ongoing or upcoming television show, and they both have a good voyage score. Now, Pike has the advantage of a bigger dip base, while Picard is the more likely event name as of now. So I think either of those crew are fine to cite, although their skill set, the dip command size, not something that you really need more of, not something that most people need more of. And since you're trying to tighten up skill gaps, that's true, I need a clicker, I need a laser pointer.
I was just looking around my desk, seeing what I've got. The closest thing I've got is like my Vine.
Now, the last one I highlighted on that list we haven't talked about yet is Interface LaForge. She's pretty similar to Bridge Officer number 1. And he's getting up there in age. I think he was one of the first skirmish awards in 2018. Despite his age, he's still a fantastic crew. He hits the dip eng weakness right on the nose. He gets semi-regular event work as a Geordi. And despite his dip base rank, he's only about 40 points behind Humbled Archer number 2. So he'll certainly carry some shuttles for you when he's not voyaging. Now, I couldn't believe I got this far into a diplomacy discussion without checking to see if Professor Sato's on your roster. And luckily for us, she is. Now, her weaknesses for bonuses, voice, and skill set are pretty well documented, but that dip base is just astounding. Now, if you're leaning, when you say dip workhorse, if you're leaning more towards shuttle than voyages, I would sign off on putting everyone behind her in the list and just make even one at a time that slow citation grind toward fully fusing her. She has a massive lead in that regard over everyone else. So I think you have enough quality options here that I would say let humanoid figures sit at 4-5 for a while. You've told us you're going to hit the honor sale hard, so we'll have a couple more mega crew between now and then, and that may change things. Since we only have one citation, I would reevaluate after the honor sale in January, and if not, you've only lost 1 citation's worth of roster help in the meantime. Now, if we look back at your skill pairs to see what other non-dip crew might be good targets for shoring up skill gaps. Obviously, the medical is a thorn in your side. It's a thorn in everyone's side. And I see that you've already fully fused Medic Jet Reno, which is very smart and probably why you only have 1 citation left. Because Med Eng, Med Command in particular are hurting for everyone. Now, I looked through, you don't have any great med primary options. I think they're all sort of below the cutoff in power where I would feel comfortable citing them. But you have a few names that are good overall options that have some amount of med that can help out with those skill holes anyway. Niners Esri, that's a name that's going to come up a lot today. She's sitting there at 1-5. And she only has a med tertiary, but great event history, great voyage score. She would definitely pay off citations. She has a little bit of med sec from her skill set to help out on voyages. Sec is a very common shuttle seat. Now, right now, your top sec bases are Coal of House Core and Threx. For Mega Crew, makes sense as a free-to-play player. Sometimes it can be hard to find good replacements, but she is it. She's 150 voyage ranks and 150 base points ahead of both of those former mega options. So I think I see her as one of your safer investments along with Professor Sato because of that absurd lead. And they're going to drop ranks. They're going to face competition from similar crew a lot more slowly than someone who debuts at sort of a middle power level. Another name on there, Vaharai Saru. Now, a lot of people he falls through the cracks a lot. A lot of people don't consider him because he's sort of bland. He's sort of langweilig, as the Germans would say.
I have him 5 of 5, and he gets non-stop back on voyages. He's the biggest surprise to come from, because I did a big mega recap pull for that and got him 5 of 5, and he's great. I use him so much.
Yeah, he hits a lot of the notes that you're looking for, Henning. Big fat dip base, a good med secondary to pitch in on various voyage combos. And like I said, his biggest problem is he's not anything special. Excuse me, med dip has been covered by a lot of former mega crew, but in terms of getting one that you can also use on dip shuttles, he is the best option there. Beyond that, for other skill holes, Dr. Van Gogh, again, is an option for you. I wouldn't really say engineering is your weak point. You have a fully fused Atana Joel Labor Kirk and Determined Janeway, which are all pretty good names, especially Janeway and Kirk. But Van Gogh is right now your only Eng Med option other than the Caretaker, which I assume most people don't want to cite exclusive Gauntlet crew because they might get dupes in the future. Van Gogh also has double collections, the out event, great voice traits for antimatter, like I mentioned earlier, so he can be an option for you. And then Homesteader Janeway, to round it out, Psymed and DipMed are already among your stronger skill pairings, but she's got a good med secondary. She's already at 3 stars. And her faction rate, like I mentioned, 12 of 13 before, well over 90%, which, past histories will guarantee you future results. If you were a loved one that had mesothelioma, you may be entitled to a cash settlement. All those other good, cliches from the commercials. But she's been chugging along with great faction rates so far, and I think that should continue in the future. So I would leave humanoid figure 4 or 5 for now. And if you're looking at dip options, my recommendation for your crew in order, Interface LaForge, just because he hits a little harder on voyages and events, Professor Sato, then there's Esri, Ishan J. Sisko, Mambo Picard, Vaharai Saru, Dr. Van Gogh, New Eden Pike, and Homesteader Janeway. I think those would all be fine choices. And like you said, you might want to lean more toward diplomacy.
Just to give you an update on chat, we're now talking about a Bajora Mega and how that would be quite cool. And there's quite a few interesting options I would like to see. And one of them, let me find it. Someone mentioned Lee Nahlas, which is one of the cards I actually want in the game.
Now, wouldn't he would be a big fat security crew, right?
Gotta be, yeah.
Well, you could have the Freedom Fighter version of him, and then the liaison version of him.
Yeah. Right?
Doesn't he lay down his disruptor at one point and try to be liaison between the station and the people?
That's right. Yeah, yes, that's true. Yeah, he does. Also mentioned was the Dragon Ball Z fight between Prophet Kira and Paraith Jake.
I think everyone... Oh, yeah, people are like, oh, that's got to be the next Gauntlet crew. That's going to be an honor hall crew. That visually did look pretty cool, at least in my head back in the 90s. It was pretty damn cool.
99? Anyway, last but not least.
Yes, we're down to one more. If you're not asleep by now, you will be soon. Mr. Sven Lungren. And he helped us out big time. He said, quote, "Here's my crew if you want to use it for the next show." Thank you, Sven, for the pointing me in the right direction. That's a fantastic set of goals to work for, and we'll keep that in mind. Now, to get a sense of Sven's roster, I looked at all the golds he's already immortalized. Outside of Mega Crew and Campaign Crew, the crew that he has immortalized are Captain Braxton, great crew, Mayor Inquisitor Troy, Leonardo da Vinci, Gary Seven, Kalis, there's a theme, great, powerful crew here. Low-tech Sato, and 2-skilled Jet Reno. So in general, it looks like he favors top shelf power and rarish skill sets. Now, Sven, if you're listening, I'd love to know where low-tech Sato came from. Maybe a bad luck pack pull, or maybe you just love the character, but I really got to find out. So to continue this theme of top shelf power and rare skill sets, let's bring up slide 1, if you will, and let's look at his pair rankings and see if we can find some skill sets that need a little help. Now, as with most rosters, Med Eng and Med Command bring up the rear. That makes sense. To address that, I wanted to look again at the Voyage pair strengths in slide 2. I know I'm bouncing you around a little bit.
Slide 2 loaded.
Now this is another. He's got metrics for everything. This is potential Voyage pairs. That hasn't popped up for me, which is why I'm vamping yet. Potential Voyage pairs for Eng Med, and you can see the score from left to right on the top is that's a very big difference. Medic Jet Reno obviously jumps out. Rock solid Med primary Voyager. She would add 1,000 points of Eng Med to your runs. And that's the weakest area on your roster right now. So she is the slam dunk #1 option for me for roster improvement. In fact, anyone still listening, God bless you. If you have Medic Jet Reno unfused still from her giveaway, you can't go wrong with citing her. And we just looked at 5 different rosters, some of them from very end game players, and they all had Med Eng and Med Command at the bottom of that list. So she's a slam dunk no matter where you are on your roster. And then lurking there at the bottom of the Eng Med pairing is Stranded Quark. And Dip Eng and Dip Med are at the top half of your pair power, but still Quark can contribute some measure of Med Eng while also being well-rounded. He has good Voyage power, more events than you would think, although a lot of that are on the back of his, I think, 5 event 2018. But he's got great traits. Ferengi, I think, has caught 4 standalone events. We haven't had the mega yet. That may happen. He's got an interesting set of traits. So he's also the only gold in the game with his skill set. So if we're looking at all-roundedness, that's. I know a lot of people in Discord, if Stranded Quark's name comes up, people jump the chance to say he's fantastic. And the other elephant in the room is Med Command. If you pull up slide number 3, you have another diamond. You have another diamond in the rough for Dr. Pollard. Now, her overall scores dropped quite a bit since release. I think she debuted 51, I want to say, and she's down to rank 123. But she's still your best option, maybe your only option for addressing Med Command. There are very, very few crew with those skills as a primary, secondary. And with Med being sprinkled in across your lowest strength pairs, she'll make several other Voyage combos for you, as well as having a huge lead in that shuttle seat over everyone not named Bones. You have Bones McCoy as the top Med Command shuttler, Pollard, and then like a 150-point drop-off or something like that. I guess you were jumping over to see how many ranks Pollard is
65.
Okay.
She's dropped 65 ranks, which isn't... It sounds like it's a lot considering she's been out a year, but considering her skill set, I think that's not as bad as it seems. Considering if you say drop 65 Med Command, yeah, that'd be more serious, but 65 total voyages.
Stars in the chat says Dr. Pollard is kind of a one-trick pony, but what a trick.
What a trick.
And that's true. And she hits Physician and Veteran, which are pretty big and probably due for expansion if we're going by any semblance of logic. Where are we now? So, sticking with the theme of power and or skill set, I wanted to introduce a few better event names because we don't really know Disco's future. And I'm not really sure what kind of criteria Sven cites with, so let's get into a couple of event names. And the ones that jump out to me are First Officer Burnham, of course, and Niners Esri. They hit the Voyage event base triad fantastically. And they're both at 1.5, but they both have the power and name relevance to last for quite a long time. So even if you have to put 4 sites in, this is sort of the eternal conversation. I only need 1 citation to finish this mega crew and 4 for this other. So I'm going to go with the 1 citation. but you're also going to have to replace them on the back end sooner than you would a beast like First Officer Burnham. She dropped 2 ranks. Some of these crew have dropped hundreds of ranks. So you may have to put a little more in now for Burnham or Ezri, but they will last longer than a lot of these crew who debut with mediocre power. And since we didn't have much to go on, I also looked at fusion level in case that's a big consideration for you. Homesteader Janeway is at 3.5. She's a name I think that's come up for everyone because she's not quite the best, but she has stars on her. She has events. She has a pretty good skill set. And she dresses a bottom half skill pair for you with Symed while offering a great event history. And in his first appearance today, Age of Sail Worf, who's also 3.5 on your roster. He only needs 2 stars to finish to help with that vanity collection, if that's what you're into. I know, you should you should finish the Age of Sail crew on stream.
I will.
And show us collecting the hat icon and put it on your account.
I've done Age of Sail, Worf's already done, unfortunately, so yes.
Yeah. Big Worf fan, Stars and Garters in the chat's going crazy for him. So yeah, this is his first appearance, but he's, because of the skill set, he flies under the radar, but pardon me, he would be a top 2 option for all of your sec and shuttles, as well as a top 10 Voyager by score on your account. So even though you're pretty loaded with command sec, he has a lot of perks. Obviously a main cast event crew now. So I tried to give you a grab bag of recommendations. I suspect skill set plays into your citation choices based on who you've cited so far. And I think Metagrino and Dr. Pollard are slam dunks for you. And then those other 1-star names will work for years on your roster. So in order, I give you Megjet Reno, Dr. Pollard, Stranded Quark, Niners Ezri, First Officer Burnham, Homesteader Janeway, and Age of Sail Worf. So I think any of those names work. And to the 29 of you that are still watching, why?
Well done, also. That was awesome.
Yes, it won't be that dry all the time, but, people called in, they want help, so I tried to be as thorough as I could be.
And please, in the future, if you have anything you want to send across, we might do one every now and then.
Why is Worf grabbing Niners Ezri's backside and holding her aloft?
It's like a doll. It's like a look what I have, and everyone's like, ah.
Podcast listeners are missing out.
There's only so much I can do with these. I was just in the middle of your rant there. Not rant, sorry. In the middle of your informed discussion there, I was trying to find the image of the anteater that's standing on its hind, or it's like some sort of animal. It's just like, I was trying to find it. I was going to creep it on, but I couldn't find it.
The day that Worf came out, that's the first thing the anteater is like, come at me, bro.
That's not the come at me, bro.
Yeah. Genos in the chat says, in the end, we should all cite Medic Reno. Yes, you should.
You can't go wrong. Really can't. I think there's been a few common names here. There's Niners Ezri, Medic Reno, Homesteader. There's been Dr. Van Gogh. They're kind of the ones that are going to stick about for a bit, I think.
Yeah, and I know that's sort of a cop out, but at the same time, everyone have these crew because they're either giveaway or everyone has been saying they're so great you might grab at one point. That's why I tried to rank them for you in order. And if you don't like one of these crew for whatever reason, just skip it and go to the next one that might fill a need for you.
And if you don't like Age of Sail Worf, you should just uninstall the game. I think we can probably wrap up there for this week. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Let me find my show notes, because my show notes have just turned into anteaters now. Yeah, that is the end.
So how close are you? You have all the Age of Sail crew.
I only need to cite... hang on. Not far.
Do we have
only
time
3
for
crew. Let's do a quick one. I only need 3 stars on Crusher, 2 stars on Riker, and 4 stars on Picard, and then I'm done. So that's not going to be... I've got the size for it. They're all lined up. Let's do a quick... Let me close that. Let's do a quick Behold Me.
50 minutes of pain followed by 3 minutes of Behold Bliss.
Okay. I haven't filtered these out for Paul yet, so this could be anyone. Okay. Oh, that's the 3-star one as well. No, it's stuck. I can't sort this Right. Okay, this checks. Raffle Khan, no stars. Navarre, no stars. Garrick, Elin Garrick, no stars.
Now, Navarre is better than everyone thinks. Command Psi is usually near the top of people's strengths. What is she now? What voyage rank is she now?
Let me ask Darge.
We'll be able to find it in time. You're quicker than me.
I don't know.
This is right
I have
around
a bot that
100.
does it for me. She is voyage rank 99. She's dropped 50 voyage ranks, which would... that's not voyage rank 69. Close.
Really?
Had to be done.
I guess once your boys are in bed, you feel liberated to...
Give it time with the adults in the room.
Our sponsors are going to be so upset at this. Yeah, and I only mentioned it because the other two are like Voyage 500 or something, but...
Now, wasn't Garrick just in one of your site advices? Was that not in... He was in there.
That was in Biggs,
Yes.
Because he's trying to forego the ways of logic and voyage score, and he's trying to have fun with the game, which I don't necessarily like, but...
You don't like
Chad
fun?
is saying Garrick for mature roster. Navarre for someone starting out. That's a good point. Navarre will do more work with one star than the others. Bar, possibly Raffle, tons, slow, 250% arena damage. But yeah, Garrick will get the most events, and he'll hit the vanities. So I'm on board with Garrick.
Alright, let's do one more. Let's spin the wheel. And
Khan does have those fantastically crafted packs.
Yeah, the frontula. Mirror Data, no stars. Call, no stars. Interface LaForge, no stars. I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, well interfaced. Actually, I think made the top of site list for someone. Maybe Henning? Yeah, because he needed a dip crew. And dip engine is funny because it's for some people it's strong, for some people it's weak. There was that point, I think, where we had Labor, Kirk, Ishan Chase, Cisco, and the campaign Queen Poe all in a short time frame. And if you were around and you got those three, that'll definitely bolster. But he's just the best.
Let's see if I can pull up a talky one, and then I have to go to bed.
I'm somehow more awake after blathering on about stats, and it's like 11:30 here than I've ever been on this show.
Okay, this one's interesting. No stars Leonardo da Vinci, 1 star Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax, no stars Rurapenthe Commandant. That was 2 Joseph Siskos and a hold.
All right, while Chet picks, I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to, I think we might get it tomorrow, a new campaign crew announcement. The last 3 have not been terribly appealing, so let's see they redeem themselves.
Okay, so my bugbear, and I said this last time, was that every campaign that has ever come out has not hit a single one of my 1 of 5. And bearing in mind, I've got hundreds of these now. A single one. So every time I get a little bit, they pick someone I don't have. So I'm always hopeful. Or it'll be a 5 of 5, like Reverend Flux. Because I got Reverend Flux, everyone was like, you need to cite him. You need to cite him now. He's amazing. I was like, I need to cite him. I'm going to cite him. He's in the campaign. Fuck.
So you're going to release a name into the universe that you would like to see announced tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Let me talk about these guys, and I'll find a name.
I know Stella's not in the chat because I haven't seen her say anything yet, but she did recently get this version of Jazz, the last one that she needed. And then I found out that she didn't immediately cite her. So I wrote a letter to Terry Farrell and said, look, your super fan is not quite so super, but...
we have a call coming in now. Could you imagine?
If you're new and you need an arena crew, God, it's so gross standing next to Leo, but I would still take Repente Commandant. I think he's going to do more for you at 1 star.
If you don't have Klee, Kes, or Garth. If you don't have Garth, you must be very new.
And then beyond that, yeah, Gimli, his axe and his line machine are great additions to your roster. And if you are Stellar Ice, then take the Star for Jitsu.
Okay, I have my recommendation. I
Okay.
would like Chef Riker. I would like a cook's
Chef
mega.
Riker.
Chef Riker. Who would the 4-star be
Oh.
for a cook? Because the other part of my brain says Joseph Sisko, but he's also a 5-star. But who would be the cook for the 4-star?
Is he really? Is he really a 5-star?
Joseph Sisko. Well, yeah.
Is he really though?
He is a name, but not in spirit.
Yes. All right, who's a chef? No, I gotta look up chef. Super rares.
There's not many, I don't think. If you
A
could have
one-
Too Many Cooks
a one
campaign.
X.
Too Many Cooks.
Klingon Neelix. Well, of course, we're getting a bunch of Neelixes. Gabriel Bell, who's a Cisco variant. And then Tuvix. Those are the only ones.
Okay, maybe not. Well, maybe you could have a Riker. Could have a Riker campaign.
Yeah.
Could have Organ Riker.
You could just have Cook Riker. And in the background of his art, you see Worf making a face show his teeth because these eggs smell terrible.
No, could we have These Are the Voyagers campaign? We could have Ransom Shran and Chef Riker. Not his mouth, but there you go. And then in the background, electrocuted Tucker. Anyway. Spoilers.
You're going to get a lot of hate mail if any of this comes through.
I'll add it to the pile. Okay. Gonna call it for this week. Thank you guys for sticking around for our first sort of site advice, and we will do this again. We will do odd bits and pieces here and there. Next week we have the interview with Ben, the long-awaited return, and hopefully he'll be answering a few questions of ours and the communities, and maybe we'll see what he has to offer, and should be fun. So join us next week on Timelines Talk, same time. That's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from Stars, who's hiding in the chat. And goodbye from me. We'll see you guys next week.
See you later.